close request.
I'll just do that. Can't contain myself, so I'll just do a little, yeah.
Took the little camera out this morning, click, click, click. Went to move it onto the multi-card reader. How many hundred pictures of Auckland?
The last one's on the thing.
Points of all.
Panning over to the left, you can see where the glacier, or a glacier, either flowed in or flowed out of this area. My guess is it flowed out of here through there. My guess is that there's a lake over there to the left on the other side of that rise, which is providing the water for this relatively shallow falls runoff. This is our location here, right where that dot is. Well, not quite, it's to the left of that, otherwise we'd be on the glacier with the boat. This is the English Channel running north to south, south to north. We just shot in here to take a look at this glacier. We'll come out and continue from Sano Iceberg up north. Out on the open sea, have been since probably 10 o'clock last night, and rock and roll of the waves reflects that. Way off there, I think there's a boat right straight ahead. Not sure the camera will stay in focus for this. Nope. Same cloudy, clammy day as it's been for almost all of the trip. Same clammy weather that it's been for almost all of the trip. Some kind of freighter boat perhaps off in the distance there. Apparently there was a pod of several hundred porpoises a little while ago, but of course they're gone now. Land faintly visible over there, I think, and or surf breaking on a shoreline. Temperature's fairly nice. It's not cold at all. Not much of a wind. And probably by 10 o'clock this morning we'll be back in sheltered water again, which is not a big deal. Some kind of little storm petrel. Interesting that while it's overcast, there's enough break in the clouds and I can see a light hazy blue sky, but we're going into a patch of sunlight, which is, based on the last several days, fun. As I scan to the left, we should be looking west. And that looks like a line, a low line of reef, but I really think it's just a wave horizon. That should be open sea across the Pacific. Today from the front you notice a different pattern. First of all, we're following the waves, we're running with the wind, or with the waves rather, but it's much longer and spread out cycle on the waves. Much more gentle, long roll. We've now entered protective waters. Small fishing fleet over there. This is a tree. Those look like blueberries or Saskatoons. It's next to the arena tree, but it's not the arena tree. This is a temperate rainforest because it rains almost 300 days out of a year. And when it's not raining, it's pretty much foggy and misty. This is apparently a manio macho tree. And these 2 or 3 trees are apparently that tree. They look almost dead. There are some vines creeping up there. Some other plants that look like they're parasitic. Cuigüe de Chilo. And it apparently is a high story, top story tree whose canopy makes it obviously less light down below, and that's fitting for other kinds of plants. This view here gives a view of what we expect in a jungle. Intense vegetation. Extremely difficult to... I think that's a mushroom, but I can't really tell from up here. And it looks like plants tend to follow the flow of water, i.e. on the lower side of the log. The thing that is curious always here is the lack of new boardwalk through here, which would be very nice, but parts of it not yet nailed down. Hope they remove the old stuff. Caught my eye because it just looks like a little super micro ecological system. Almost like a jungle in miniature. Here are the interpretive signs pointing out that there are logs that fall and act as bridges over the water swampland below. And we can see that here. The one on the left looks fairly wide, might be several. And then other branches and debris fall, building that up. Another couple here juncturing, or maybe some branches coming off a fallen tree. And this tree here may well be using that lower one as a nurse tree. In other words, it's growing right out of the tree. Here's a brand new beautiful flower that I've just seen here for the first time. I can't really get a fix on the tree it's coming from, or it may even be one of the fauna or the plants that are on the trees. Here's a view of the fallen flower. It's a very pretty flower. Here's a better view of the flower. Can't tell for sure if that branch that it appears to be on is coming from the tree itself or not. A little bit longer view of the density in an area that's a little bit open, actually. The Te Poil. I'm thinking that must mean this jungle. This view gives a pretty good idea of the misting. It's now probably almost 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And it's not raining, so this perhaps passes as one of the 60 days of sun. Looking eastward down that lake, and I'll just pan around. Down there is the river that we crossed over that had a side of a boat, or what looked like the side of a boat, decoratively on the side of the bridge. And hopefully you can hear in the background, when I quit blabbing, the sound of the ocean. Don't know if this is a plant that I've already seen. It looks like it. Different plant than I've seen before, I think.
It's a slow-moving stream. You can see the tannin in the water that gives it that reddish look. A lot of work going on to upgrade and expand the facilities for employees and for campers. Assuming that people are buried inside these cement boxes, but I'm not really sure. Not the first time I've seen this. So the same design in Mexico. Notice how it's supported on the sides now. It's too bad they don't maintain this building. It's just going to fall down. Notice the pillars are made out of vertical pieces of wood, except for the bottoms that are milled, it looks like. It was painted once. I think they'd paint it again to restore it, keep it in good condition, but it's just going to rot out like it is up there right now. Got a Star of David? Yeah. No, it's not. It's 5 stars. Even the supports are coming apart. Notice this long carpet runner. Sad that they're letting it deteriorate. Although here we can see how the inside structure is. Some kind of very curious but cheesy looking design element on these pillars for some reason, and also around the corner trim. Simple. Notice the ships that we've seen in other countries that are to safeguard, I think, sailors at sea. A simple little confessional there, I guess. One of the Stations of the Cross. What's interesting and poignant here is the simplicity of this church in its antiquity and the churches of Europe. These houses are palafitos. Because when the first people arrived here, everything was forest beyond the water, almost beyond the water line. And so these were built on stilts out of necessity, because it was the only land you could build on until they had cut down the forest over time so they could move inland. Here they have a sufficient tide, enough that they can leave the boat sitting here and actually let them tip over on one side and work on it for a day, I suppose. And yet the counterpoint to those pafalitas are these homes on the hills here. The guide pointed out that both Chiloe, this island, and Valparaiso were incredibly important during the gold rush in San Francisco, because San Francisco's the deserts of California theoretically could not produce food. On the other hand, I'm a little bit bothered by that, because between the coast
and the mountain range in California, I think, is arable land. But anyway, the point being that those two Chilean cities were the ones that supported the foodstuffs of the gold rush.
Market with all kinds of, I think the raw woolen, I think it's wool, I'm not sure. But all kinds of that typical close South American kind of clothing, I guess. And plus all other kinds of debris that a person could want to buy in the way of souvenirs and sometimes stuff that's even useful. This whole area here is just filled with shops. Don't know where all these wood products are made. Maybe here, I don't know. Just can't imagine carting this stuff across an ocean for all the alternative a couple of continents. But the prices are reasonable. This is $1,500, which is about. This building is made of sheet metal. And there on the top, stamped metal. I'll get in closer and look at it. Up above. You wonder if that was filled with stained glass at one time. There's at least some colored glass in these. And the statue refers to the date 1926. But this is all corrugated metal that's been painted. And then this is all wood with the shapes, and fairly elaborate shapes too. And a nice lawned area. Notice the flying buttresses, or at least buttresses on this building. This whole thing is done in this sheet metal. That's interesting. Extremely elegant and well cared for wood. You can do that.
Hit people with thumbs. Swirl the tongue.
And I can put it all on video for your children.
They just wanted to buy me a witch's broomstick in the market. My daughter's already.
A little bit after 6 o'clock in the morning. It's overcast, as we can tell by the sun coming up to the east, poking a little bit of light through a gap. We're in the big bay on which the town Puerto Montt rather, is, and we'll spend the day here. A little bit later, probably about 6:45. Still looks overcast, but we are approaching Puerto Montt, excuse me. And I think we pull up to a dock here, so we won't have to use the inflatables. No telling how the day will be, but it's certainly overcast at this point, which is not a surprise. Pilot coming aboard to take us into the dock. Looks like there's going to be a bunch of them coming in to take us to the dock.
You know, brings good things, and a few bad things too, but mostly good things. 85 kilometers away from here, exactly. Inside of it, we're trying to know a wonderful area, which is very famous. One in my country throughout Chile. Why for two? And that into that river. Rainbow. Todos los Santos Lake, or Lago Esmeralda. Two names for this one lake. Todos los Santos, meaning All Saints Lake or Emerald Lake. Huh? We'll stop over there for about 20 minutes as well too. Then we're going back to the bus again.
Petro Way.
To come back to. That's why if
Pretty
you
much
look
somewhat
around,
Modern freeway, keyway.
they pronounce double L as Sha. And the elevation of the lake. Yes. The same name in Spanish, Camelia.
Camelia.
The second largest lake in my country, please. That's on the left side, actually. The bottom, the base, please.
This in theory is an emu. I think it's tame. It's in a Cabañas area, and it's also walking right towards us. We've stopped here just to take a photo of the hint of the size of the volcano that we'll perhaps be visiting, but over there. You can get a little bit more of a sense of its dimension by noticing that in the right-hand corner there, to the left of that tree, you'll see one line, and that's not the volcano, but behind it there's another slope, and I think that represents the bottom slope of the volcano that we're looking at, since it's not backed up by buildings and walking towards us. And the dukkan, that bird we just saw is called a dukkan. These are apparently a herd of obviously domesticated llama. That may be redundant. Look at this one over here though, how bushy it looks, how full. Notice the blue. Ed thinks that emu is an import, and tourist city of
All
Ensenada.
this hamlet we are leaving behind us, plantations, Dairy cattle cornifolia. That's why it is very well known, very famous in this region for us. For tourists, wait to the falls.
That is a hazelnut. So this is the falls of the Chiloe, I'm mispronouncing that, I'm sure, river that comes off of this big glacier that we've seen already. And the landform here, the lava carved by this river at different levels is what I saw in Parque Nacional Payune in Argentina. It must be spectacular in the spring when it starts running off at huge volumes. Here's just an example of one of the outflow channels that's created, and some of the rocks and boulders that the water brings down with it. This cauldron is just like I saw at Payune. But it also reminds me of what I'd seen in New Zealand, that really compacted rush of water. No surprise that it does quite a job of eroding, and principally downward. And yet notice the nice gentle slope of this channel that probably only gets used for excess water flowing over in the springtime. A little hanging garden, if you will. Imagine Oli kayaking down through this. And then over here, a little pothole has been created, probably from water tumbling off into that. And notice the boulders and logs that have been wedged into place. And just the outflow from that channel.
Not that I would recognize it, but this is the tree I saw several times in Argentina. It's the big tree. I guess I should note it as having totally irregular pattern of limbs and so forth. This hill may well be a volcano, an old volcano, I don't know. But anyway, this is a runoff, and it's not used right at this moment, but it looks like it gets used. There's some water in it. It looks like it gets used probably when there's a big runoff. Notice the exquisite carving down here. It's interesting that this carving is smooth from the water, but in the other area it's chunky from the rocks underneath. Apparently are strong enough that they can't be as molded as easily as this rock. Here, a clear pool with fish swimming in it. Puerto Montt has 2,000 millimeters of rain a year. Usually 220 days are cloudy or rainy. In the mountains or up in the on top of the volcano, 3,000 millimeters. Okay, this that I'm panning across is a snowmelt runoff. Playa. It's not the right word I want to use. This is the All Saints Lake. And probably most of what we're looking at are remnants of volcanoes. This is apparently a fairly heavy tourist area. There's a camping area there, but on the way down here and through the small town of Ensenada is primarily tourist facilities. It's a restaurant where we had a nice lunch. Okay, we're as far up as we're going to get. I haven't got time to go on the chairlift, as with most of these cruise tours. We have 20 minutes to get back on the bus. Can't go up the chairlift. Okay, we've climbed up this little hill. Well, I mean this little rise on this giant hill. And here we have a view of that huge lake. This is the volcano Chubaco. Right over there is Argentina. That's Tronador.
that we had gone up when I was in Escal. There should be 3 peaks there, one the Argentine peak, one the Chilean peak, and one the international peak. But I can only make out one. Not to lose continuity. Just make out the far side of the lake. I don't know if I can see it in the camera. I can't see it. That's Tronador, and don't know which one is the Argentine peak and which one's the international, nor I don't know which one is the Chilean. Well, it's about 7 o'clock on Saturday morning. Looks like it's going to be a gorgeous day from what we can tell here. We're going to this town of Valdivia. Finally got my sea legs, if that's what it's called when you're able to sleep. It was a pretty bouncy night last night, but I didn't have any problems sleeping well, and that's a good thing. Earplugs are helpful to kill the engine noise. We get some pretty... Again, we're on a following sea this morning, I believe, which means it's coming from behind us. And sometimes we get some pretty terrific ups and downs. I mean, for what looks so calm. But it is a beautiful day. I don't know if we can get a sense of this. It looks like a fairly high wave that's coming underneath us now. It's also because we're going at somewhat of an angle to tips the boat fairly significantly, but not at this moment that I can see. That apparently is the Royal Albatross. Everybody's getting really excited. Yeah, there's a couple out there. There's another one there.